one more time. Before we do, it looks as if all of the people I know are logged off at the moment. Ooh, 26 million credits. That's exciting. And we have been promoted. We already have missions to complete.
uncoupled. You are go for departure.
Unsuccessful. Mission objective detected. Cargo scoop deployed. Cargo scoop retracted. Cargo scoop deployed. Programming liquid drone. Programming liquid drone. Tactical fit expired.
slide in for Okora Force Station at 696 light seconds. 2.3.0C, 4C, 5C, 6C, 7C, 8, 9, 10, 12, and counting. Get behind the target.
liquid drone. Programming liquid drone. Programming liquid drone. Cargo scoop deployed. Scoop retracted. Fracture drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Tango Romeo India. Please comply with flight regulations as you approach the station, Commander.
Flight assist off. Flight assist on.
Requesting set down on landing pad 05. You are clear for automated approach, Commander.
Stowaway reported in Hangar E4. Dispatching security officers. Green Venture 039.
Scan detected.
400 meters from touchdown.
Like to welcome all commanders to this facility. Please ensure you complete all locker procedures within the allocated time.
Landing successful. Dispatching ground crew.
Code repaired.
This is a flight regulation announcement. Please proceed to dock on your assigned docking pad in a timely manner, and refrain from obstructing other docking areas. Access to docking facilities requires control authorization. Please submit requests before entering the docking ring. interest of smooth traffic flow within the docking bay, we request that pilots avoid blocking access to docking pads. This is an important announcement. Security surveillance is in effect at the facility at all times. Any acts of aggression will be met with an appropriate response. Access to docking facilities requires flight control authorization. Please submit requests before entering the docking. We would like to remind all commanders to avoid blocking access to docking pads during arrival and departure.
touchdown on landing pad 26. You are clear for automated approach, Commander.
Landing gear deployed.
You are clear of the station. Flight control out.
desist.
Shit.
To get started, enter your 16-digit debit card number to ensure prior... Please enter your 3-digit... Thank you. Your call is being processed. Due to current call volumes, wait times are longer than usual. If you know, you can reach an advisor faster. If you're calling to advise us of travel plans, press the star key. For self-serve day-to-day banking transactions, including account balances, bill payments, and transfer of funds, press 1. For all other inquiries, press 2. For inquiries or advice related to credit cards, press 1. Your checking account balance is... Your call will be recorded and used for coaching, training, transaction verification, and as part of confirming your identity using RB...
Sorry, I want to get in front of the computer again. So I made this payment. It was to Rogers, and it went through to the wrong account. Can I reverse it? Yes. Okay, thank you. So the fund should appear in the account. 1 second. Yes, 165.35 now appears in the account, which is correct. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your help tonight. Thank you. Bye-bye. Five, 2, 4, 666. Seven, 4, 2, 4. What the hell is going on here? Sorry about that, folks. I had to clear up a bill payment, and for some reason the number that I kept getting on my bill was the wrong account number. Which makes it very difficult to pay to the bank without being absolutely certain that you're paying the right bill. Just one moment, please. Okay, so where are we here? Passenger lounge. There's some people seeking transport. I guess I could go collect some more people. Some more thugs, that is. Oh, for heaven's sake. Let's see here. We have to salvage 2 ceramic components.
Hello.
Hello there, how's my favorite celebrity elite player doing?
Just on my way to Deasat.
To where?
Deasat.
Deasat.
Deasit. How do you say that? Miss Farseer. We'll make it simple.
Oh, Miss Farseer. Oh, I see. That would be one of the engineers, I'm guessing?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, you have access to more of those than me, I think. Right now I have everyone from Quint down to, let's see here, Todd the Blaster McQuinn. You know what? He sold me some really nice fragmentation cannons.
Ooh.
Because I have a Type 3, which is my primary weapon on my Python. Center mount, Class 3, fragmentation cannon. Its modifications...
What the hell is going on? What? And you expect me to get my anaconda out of this?
What now?
Some idiot's gone in... Whoa!
Is it a Russian? It's
Some idiot's gone and jammed a cutter into the mail slot sideways, and it's just this burnt out hole. And I have to get out of here somehow. What?
He's jammed it into the starbase, into the starport space door?
Yeah, the mail slot just has a gigantic cutter just in the middle of it. I can't fit.
So you have to...
my anaconda, oh!
Just ram him, for God's sake.
no shields right now.
Oh god. Well, if you're inside the base, just buy some shields, ram the snot out of him, and then.
Oh, I got out. Okay.
Okay.
It despawned halfway through that adventure. Jeez.
So I've got corrosive fragmentation cannons, and let me tell you, those things kick butt. If you have the corrosion mod, it like rips apart their hull every single hit, and it's cumulative damage. So the more you hit them with it, the worse it gets for them. And then
they gotta be close. You gotta get in their face.
Yeah, you have to be less than two kilometers with this thing. I got a range bonus on the mod as well. So I get within well, I think it's 1,800 kilometers, but anyway, or 1.8 kilometers, 1,800 meters. But once you're in there and you nail him a bunch of times with that thing, and you know they're flying by. If you slow down, you can and get in close. For the long range, though, I got the big bomblet cannon, the one that launches all the little bomblets. And so you hold the button down, and then when you think it's close, you release. I mean, it's turreted, so it automatically targets. But then you release the thing, and boom, that's the end of that. It's designed for the Thargoids, but it works fine with against human players and NPCs. So anyway, I've got long and short range now with my multi-purpose Python. I was going to ask you. Yeah, I can shred them all to pieces. I mean, I haven't been defeated by anything under 4-piece NPCs, including Anaconda class. I can pretty much take anybody, expert or lower. I do have a question for you. The class 10, I'm guessing its range is not the same as the Anaconda. And when we were talking...
the Type 10?
Yeah.
The Type 10 is like shitty for range, but it's basically a mobile gunship.
That's what you were saying. So, I mean, I'm thinking I need to have some capacity for exploration. So, I want to go and sacrifice the Python for a while, get the Anaconda, run out to Christ knows where in the galaxy. Not like a grind, but just having the capacity to do some distance very quickly. Go where I need to go, and then
I'd say get Type 10, and then get yourself a cheap Diamondback.
Really? Okay. What about if you want...
Doing an Explorer Conda and a Type 10 is going to rack you up about 300 million.
That's what I figured, yeah, it's going to run me 350 million or so for a nice set. Just taking so damn
I'm currently trying to get prepared for Chieftain, because I don't know how much that thing's going to cost.
No one does. It's like everyone's talking about it. That and the fact that we're going to be able to see planets for the first, this is the first major planets upgrade in 2 years.
Because planets are all beige and black.
Yeah, well, they're about to change. Now the chemistry of the planet will be reflected properly, which is what you wanted right from the beginning.
Be careful with Type 10 right now, because Type 10's bugged to where it can't land. If you land it...
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, you can't land it. You can take it off, but once the landing gear touches the pad, you've got a 50% chance of just basically taking a major hull hit, or the pad just not recognizing you. And it's a current known bug, and so they're going to have that fixed for Beyond.
So I should wait a week. I mean, I'm not going to really be able to afford any of these upgrades before Beyond is done. but I'm sort of mulling over like what I'm going to do about my Anaconda Type 10 Defender conundrum. I know what you're saying. Get the diamond back, but there is the occasion where you encounter human players, like especially on the Guardian missions, where you're out in the galaxy, and those fuckers they come out there. I was attacked while in my SUV on a Diamondback. I was winged. I was lucky. So that my wingman, he was in an Orca. Nate Dogs, I don't know if you've heard of him, but
they wait for you out there.
Yeah, they wait for you out there, and he came down in his Diamondback, if you can believe it, with some sort of high-speed weapon that he had modded up by an engineer. And boom, 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 he hits me, knocks my shields down to like nearly 0. He attacks my main ship, and then my wingman, who's flying an Orca, of all things, reconfigured as a cargo vessel for Guardian for some reason, he decides, okay, I'm going to ram him. And he rams the hell out of him about 4 or 5 times and kills him. Couldn't believe it. It was hilarious to watch. And then, after this is all done, I thought, oh my god, like, someone's sitting out there like that, they can just, like, blast you all to hell, and unless you dismiss your ship quickly enough, or whatever, you're gonna get screwed over.
Yeah.
So, and I like playing open mode. I don't like going into solo or private without, I like being in open mode and talking to people and whatnot. So, unless I
prefer solo because it uses less internet data.
Well, especially
Solo only uses a couple bytes per jump, whereas Open has to sync all player coordinates, which ends up using a couple megabytes per jump. And when I'm doing hotspotting or whatever on the go, Open isn't viable.
Really?
Yeah. It's the difference between being able to play and not being able to play over a 4G connection.
4G, oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, when I'm out on the road or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's right. You're not
solo.
using VR, are you?
No, I don't.
See, I'm using VR all the damn time. I've got a nice system, and I've got I'm a software developer, so I've got nice internet. I've got like the premium possible internet connection from my region. So,
well, yeah, I'm using nice internet right now. I'm just saying I don't always have that.
Yeah.
And then there's such things as data caps and stuff too. So.
For some of us.
Yay.
I don't know. I'm always playing at home. I won't even play this like on console anymore. I'm just, once you get into VR and you play most of your games, like almost all of them, I play in VR. The only ones I don't are like when I feel like going retro, and I want to play something like, I don't know, chess or something. Like I don't really play non-VR when I'm doing my serious gaming. But
for me, games take up a lot of my bandwidth, my allotted bandwidth slot with my Wi-Fi, right? So whenever I can, I try not to play online because YouTube takes up a lot of my other bandwidth. So between YouTube and gaming, there's like nothing left over for daily use. And Comcast gets fussy at me.
You don't have unlimited then, eh?
Not with Comcast, they don't. They want to milk me for every penny I got.
Yeah, I'm paying premium. I mean, I pay over $80 a month Canadian for service, but for me that's like, again, I'm a software developer. I use cloud. I do code online and build networked applications. I've simply got to have the best just to do my work. I've worked for Microsoft twice. We work for them. Efficiency is everything. And if you're working from home, then you have to. To get the job done, you need to have the fastest possible internet, or you fall behind.
I mean, the problem is, right, I've got stupid fast internet, but stupid fast internet makes you go through your data allotment stupid fast.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. You've got speed, but you've got caps and bandwidth and overage charges, which will beat the hell out of you. And this is precisely why I canceled my overage charges a few years ago, because I was just like, okay, this is stupid. Every time I can sit there and monitor my usage, but at some point I was always going over, and I needed to go over when I needed to go over. So I eventually just said, "The fuck with it. I'm just going to pay the premium rates, and I will eat the unlimited, because in the end, I'll be further ahead financially, and I will get the job done." And frankly, I'm paid enough to afford it. So since it's career related.
So I don't actually have a router in the house. I'm actually renting space from a server. I'm actually renting connection from a server.
Oh yeah?
That's how that works, yeah.
I actually there's tenants that I built a website for. A couple of them pay me a little bit extra for to piggyback on me, but they don't use enough bandwidth. Like, the average person doesn't use enough bandwidth for me to really give a damn. I can share my bandwidth with other people.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I won't say all the time, but then again, I can always throttle them down if I really need to. So, and they're usually ignorant about it. They don't even notice. You know.
Yeah, most people just want to check their Facebook.
Yeah. So, go ahead, check your Facebook. You're not going to bother me. I mean, they can't use enough, especially when it's request response, like the web is. They just, you know, as soon as the response is filed back from the web server, that's it. They're done. They're not using any bandwidth whatsoever. So everything's good on that score. But you know, like I said, years ago, I had to make a decision. And yes, you do pay a premium, but I don't know, I found it was, for my purposes, it was worth it, but not everyone does what I do. At any rate, I did want to ask you about this, about your view on the defense platform. Have you heard anything about them with the big ships?
Sort of like the carrier type thing?
Yeah, they allude to the carrier in the latest news broadcast in Galnet, and they say, well, the Empire and the Federation are both doing nothing about the Thargoids. And I'm like, well, no, they aren't, but wouldn't it be great if the Thargoids were in another galaxy, like the LMC or the SMC, which you can see on the map, and they even move when you do through the galaxy, so they're clearly physically there.
Yeah.
But again, the rumors are twofold. On the one hand, you've got players that have claimed they've heard developers at Frontier say, no, we're never going to go outside the galaxy. Well, in prior versions of Elite, there was this thing called the intergalactic hyperdrive. And we haven't seen that happen here, and no one's really talked about it. But if you look on the map and where the Thargoids have come from, they come from the bottom, quote unquote, of the galaxy. Below our galaxy is where the LMC, the Large Magellanic Cloud, and the Small Magellanic Cloud, the two satellite galaxies, are located. So my reasoning is they're probably there, and at some point, Frontier's probably going to let you somehow, either they're going to provide a new technology, the intergalactic hyperdrive, or more likely, because it's size related, size matters when you're jumping hundreds of thousands of light years or long distance. They could build a capital ship capable of carrying other commanders.
And it leaves like once a month.
And it would leave according to some kind of schedule, and you would be aware of what that schedule is as a player. And then, you just board the thing, wait for it, to engage its drive.
And then you'd have to pay a pretty penny, though.
Probably for fuel, if nothing else. It's gonna cost a fucking fortune in fuel just to pull this off. and then
I'd say, like,
zap,
for
it goes.
even balance reasons. Well, then you board a day or two early, just like when you board a mega ship, right?
Yeah.
And then when the server ticks, you'd end up over there, and you'd have, like, say, 50 million credits deducted from your account.
Yeah, something like that. And then you're in another galaxy, and you can go and do whatever there. And then there'd be like a core. There'd be a few military bases and research facilities at the start, but eventually there'd be colonies. My evidence for this is, do you remember a few years ago, they played around with trying to get a star base into hyperspace? Jameson Base, I believe it was called. And they stuck a hyperdrive in this thing, and it was before the center of the galaxy had been explored. And then they took this base, starport, and they shoved it into an interspace window, and book, and it went all the way to another star system. I don't know how far away it was, but it was some distance away. I wasn't really paying that close attention. I should have at the time. And then they did this too.
Now it's called Colonia.
Is it called Colonia now? Because that's the and then they stopped. That's all I know, right? I don't know if it turned.
So basically, Jack's Station, they slapped a hyperdrive on. They slapped a capital class hyperdrive on a Jack's Station.
Okay, so you are aware of this, yeah. Okay, that's right.
Oh yeah, I've been there many times.
Okay.
I've been there. I go there like twice a month.
Yeah. Okay. So this has got precedent attached to it, and I think that's what they were playing around with it for. They wanted to see how this would work. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. This is how it's going to be implemented. They're going to put people on this thing, and then they're going to send it off to somewhere else in the universe, wherever the Thargoids are, and take the fight to them. Because you can't win a war like this. You can't just play. You can't go into a defensive shell and hope to beat the Thargoids. It's just not going to happen. It didn't happen the first time, except they didn't know how they were going to find them the first time. It was 200 years ago, and in game time. And there was
the thing that makes no canonical sense to me is the hyperdrive is only a couple hundred years old.
Yeah.
So how did we colonize the bubble?
There were sublight megaships that were used to do it, and in some cases they just disappeared, and we never heard from them again. And that they're being rediscovered now. Some of them, there was
so basically until 200 years ago, we were pretty much like a one.
Well, we had hyperdrive, but it was very limited. I mean, you could. It was experimental. The military only had it, or these megaships that they put out there. And
because if you read, right? Because like if you read stuff, people were colonizing and going all around for hundreds and hundreds of years before the Thargoid War.
Yeah.
So I guess it was like for small ships only, but extremely limited.
Well, I don't know if even small ships could. They needed, for a time, hyperdrive could only be done by larger ships. And then it became, if you read in the Wikia, the fandom wiki, it says in there somewhere, I don't remember which article I was reading, but it says that, okay, and at some point, it became both economical and available for smaller craft. And then
the galaxy exploded.
And then the galaxy exploded. So the bubble that we have now of human colonies is now going through its third phase of expansion, where you've got an established political system and whatnot. There's like factions that are running the galaxy in the midst of superpowers and all the rest of it. And it's sort of complicated. So I just recently have become involved with I joined Pranav Antal's group and have started to pursue Utopia's mission as one of the less destructive ones. I didn't like Hudson of the Federation because he was a bit of a, I don't know, he struck me as kind of a Dick Cheney kind of figure in the game logic. I didn't really like that. And Felicia Winters, she is Federation. She does seem to be you know, reasonably sane, but I didn't, this happened after I heard about the rumors concerning the genocidal Thargoid chemical virus being released by both the Federation and the Empire, co-developed. And then, of course, the Empire already has a history of destroying other sentient species, like it did the Akinari that were on Capitol before the Empire was established.
And the Akinari were our first real alien contact, weren't they?
That's right. And then well, they weren't the first aliens. They were the first sentient aliens. The first aliens were in what was that star system? Beta Hydri or Procyon, or one of the other star systems had like animal life, and it was a Federation world, and the colonists wanted to terraform the planet at the expense of the indigenous life, and so they did. And then the Federation, you know, council voted not to let that go unrequited. So they sent a fleet of Farragut class of capital ships. I don't know if they were Farragut class, but they sent a fleet of ships to go conquer them and bring them back into line with the rest of the Federation. And the colonists revolted, and the result was that the colonists, the insurgency was put down. The Federation won the war. And they were, but by then, of course, most of the indigenous life was gone. And so.
Do you think in the timeline of this game that we've been playing it, that we will see a fourth expansion?
A which?
A fourth expansion era.
We're definitely seeing that now. I mean, Colonia, obviously, is the obvious evidence of that happening, right?
And they've been talking about putting stations on Beagle Point, putting stations around Sajay.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a research station at Sajay makes sense. I mean, it's a supermassive black hole. It's
well, they don't want to put it on Sajay. They want to put it like 25, 30 light years away from it.
That would probably just be safe. Is this like a colony, or is this like a research facility?
They're talking about like a full-scale expansion out in the actual center.
There's a lot of radiation out there. I mean, it would. I guess you could. They've done it with near neutron stars, so they must have the technology to do this. But I mean, the core is not an ideal place to build colonies, just because the radiation in the center of the galaxy is so bloody intense.
Colonia does it.
What's that? Yeah, but Colonia is near the center, and there's not stars every 200, every 2/5 of a light year. In the center of the galaxy, you've got both main sequence and non-main sequence stars all over the damn place, and any one of them at any time can blow up. Not just that, but then you've got like weird anomalies and crap that like just not that it matters, but in real life that we've recently had 3 groups of telescopes studying the center of the galaxy for real, and they discovered that one of the stars near, I think it's S4 or something, near the center, near the geographic center, and near the supermassive black hole, of course, is being in the process just now, just in the last like 10 million years, of starting to be ripped apart. And you see this huge plume of stellar material coming off the star and being sucked into the middle and then disappearing, which wasn't seen before, right? And
yeah,
once you have that kind of crap happening, it becomes very, very difficult to build colonies in the midst of, and here's like, and here's all this stellar material that's just being, which contains, all kinds of radiation and God knows what else, for a light year or two. But you're probably right. They probably will.
I always thought Beagle Point was stupid.
What?
Right?
Yeah.
I always thought that going to Beagle Point is stupid because you can get the same view if you go 10,000 light years behind the bubble. rather than across the galaxy. Right? You can get the exact same view on a rocky planet if you just go behind the bubble, right? So I've always thought it's stupid, and I've never bothered to go out to Beagle Point. And now you can go past Beagle Point with Jumponium and shit. But if they actually put and decide to do like full-blown colony shit out in Beagle Point and the surrounding area behind the core like that, more players might be going out there. And also there's a bunch of permit lock shit out there too, in between Beagle Point and the
core.
The core. Yeah.
That's surprising. I didn't know that. I guess I should go.
Yeah, there's like behind the core and in between Beagle Point, there's basically an area twice the size of the bubble in a kind of roughly spherical shape that's permit locked.
So, do you know how permit locks work exactly?
So they're just areas we can't get into. So there are permits you can get with inside the bubble, right?
I know,
but then there's permits. There's permit-locked areas like Horsehead Nebula, which we just can never get into because...
Well, you could fly there at jump speeds, of course, right? You wouldn't have to use your hyperspace.
I think what the developers are doing with the permit lock is they're saving those areas for something.
Like the moon in Sol. Like
they're saving it for something.
Because Sol makes no sense. The moon makes no sense whatsoever. Like, it's locked out. You can't visit it. But there's no real reason why. It's just got a yellow shield around it.
You can fly near it.
What's that? Yeah, you can fly near it. You can look at it, and there's the Sea of Tranquility. It's very nice, but it doesn't really give you a reason why you can't land on it. It's a chunk of rock with surface lunar orthoclase. It is not volcanic, radioactive, or otherwise harmful in any way. You know, it's.
And they could even do like if players want to actually find the coordinates of like the Apollo landing and shit, put like a little Apollo lander and a little flag,
a little plaque,
a little rover.
Saying, yeah. Well, they actually have a plaque there right now. In point of fact, there's the astronauts that landed there first installed a plaque on one of the moon rocks, saying, I can't remember what it says, but there is a plaque there already that marks it off as a historical site. No doubt at some point UNESCO will declare it a World Heritage Site, and no one will be allowed within 50 miles of it or something. But
it would be cool though to do a flyover.
Yeah, I mean, you should be allowed to just land on it, and do an SRV run. I don't see why not. There's no scientific reason or game play reason why not. Even if they were going to use the moon for some other purpose in the future, unless they're hiding.
Well, they're going to hollow out the moon and put Thargoids inside of it.
Well, who knows? It just makes no sense. Sorry, but I'm thinking that the moon should just be accessible. It's the only place in the Sol that you can't go. Another place which doesn't get a lot of mention is Peregrina. That star.
You can't land on Titan, can you?
No, it's got an atmosphere.
Titan's another place you can't land.
It's got an atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's why you can't land there. But Peregrina, the star.
I want to land on Venus.
Well, you know what? They are talking about another rumor that I think might have some truth to it. Is by Q4, atmospheric landings will be available.
And it's like a paid thing, right?
There will be version 3. They've already mentioned. There is mention of version 3 of the game coming out, and of course, with the new version, yes, there will be a requirement that you pay more money. But I'm thinking they'll also be upgrading the game somewhat. I don't think they're just going to keep offering, here's a bunch of free upgrades, and we're not going to bother charging anyone anything, forever. At some point they're going to have no choice. The company needs to make.
Yeah, and I don't mind.
No, I don't mind either.
So what? Off topic for a second here. Stellaris is a $40 game, and then each DLC afterwards is $20, which means I've spent almost $120 on Stellaris.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't mind paying $20 for a DLC if I get my content's worth out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what about Star Citizen? Have you seen the latest news on that?
Oh, Star Citizen can go to hell. I'm playing a completed game right now.
Every elite player I've spoken to about Star Citizen feels exactly the same way about it. I share the sentiment largely. I do wish that they would, fix the bugginess. It's outrageous how buggy that game is. Absolutely outrageous. It should not be available in the state it's in.
So the game plan is I'm bringing I don't know if you knew this, but the Imperial Courier is one of my favorite ships of all time. It's my favorite small ship. All right, we're going to go as far as to say that. I'm currently bringing it all the way across the bubble by transporting it to get an FSD boost, because it's my little combat ship, right? There's nothing I really can't kill in my little banana nose beak thing.
Yeah.
And so that thing's going to get transported up here. I'm going to slap a grade 4 on it, because everyone gets triggered when they go, why didn't you put a grade 5 on it? Well, there's two reasons. A, arsenic is an arse to find. B,
yeah, it is.
It's too much work to go get all that crap. And C, they're redoing engineering in like a week or two anyway, so I might as well just slap a grade 4 on it and call it a day.
What is, can you answer me this? What is Jumponium? Speaking of
Jumponium is a combination. In the new update, they're going to redo what Jumponium consists of.
Okay.
But
that's what I thought it was.
Actually.
Right. But I didn't. I thought it was just as simple as and you get vanadium, niobium, arsenic, and germanium, or not germanium. One of the other. There's one more anyway.
Arsenic, niobium, yttrium, and polonium is Jumponium.
Polonium. That's right. Okay. Now, okay.
Yeah.
So I did get it right.
I have 12 arsenic. I've got 4 niobium. I've got 9 yttrium, and I have 27 polonium.
Amazing how quickly you run out of frickin' niobium when it costs like 5 per 5 per jump though.
Yeah. Well, I just got back from void crawling like a week ago, so I only have probably 10 advanced jumps. I was all the way out in the void, we're talking 200 light years between each star minimum.
Oh, you're kidding. I wonder what that, I've always wondered like how the hell people ever got out there, and of course the only way they could is by using either a neutron star with their jump, which you're not guaranteed to find, or you upgrade, you do an FSD overcharge. And
so what I do is if I really want to go somewhere, specifically what you got to do is you firewall your throttle, and because technically I'm going to break your immersion here, but the hyperspace jump is really just a loading screen into a flat grid with an XY coordinate and a Z. It's basically just a box.
Yeah.
And what you do is you fly to the very edge of that box to where your distance from the star no longer increases, because you're basically just slamming into a wall. It's very far out. You're talking like 25 million light seconds out, right?
Holy
stupid far. So if you really want to go somewhere desperately, right, you fly I've known people who've seen a Wolf-Rayet star, and they do this. Like, I want my name on that goddamn star. So you fly to the very edge of the skybox.
Yeah.
And what this will do is it will basically bring your it will bring a star into range by decreasing the amount of light years you have to travel by a couple decimals.
Wow, okay. Neat hint.
And then what you do is, if you're then you do your Jumponium, and you will be able to get in. But if you want to get out, you got to do the whole thing over again from the other side. You got to fly to the edge.
Oh, no.
And actually, if you want to do this even more efficiently, you perfectly calculate out the mass of your ship and how much fuel you have, do that trick, and then make sure as you jump, you're hitting your ship's optimal weight to fuel ratio. And then you can get a couple more decimals out of it.
Oh, Jesus.
Void crawling is the most dangerous thing in this game. You think combat is dangerous? No, void crawling is the most dangerous.
Yeah, because you can get trapped. You get trapped at the outer rim of the galaxy.
And another thing is, there's some really cool places out there where there's like where the developers have planted like graveyards of ships and stuff from previous expeditions. So there was a expedition that went way off to the right side of the galaxy, and you had to use a neutron jump to reach this planetary nebula. You had to FSD charge and neutron jump at the very edge of the skybox. And once you got in, you literally cannot get back out. And so there's video, you can look it up, of like 700 commanders all self-destructing all at once. And the devs caught notice of it. And so they went out there, hand-placed and hand-mapped where everyone had self-destructed and has put a custom-painted, like, representing each commander ship. They've put in the exact spot they exploded. They basically took an image of the game and then put everyone's ship there, but like a wrecked version of it. Same paint job, same liveries.
Oh my god. So if you ever jump out there again, you're going to see the wreckage from this, like, suicidal...
you can see it from space.
Yeah. My god. That's that's just... It's so fucked up, like, if they put these Easter eggs out there, but, I mean... Again, I'm all for, like, going and exploring intergalactic space whenever it's available, but I'm not gonna, like, go out there myself and sacrifice a ship just to go see one of these little stars or nebula out at the end. I will rely on YouTube for that.
There's a star cluster that sits about 3,000 light years above the galactic plane, and you have to neutronium jump. You have to neutronium jump, or you have to jumponium jump. Alright, so you either have to neutron, or you have to jumponium the entire way there, and it's a star cluster above the galaxy. And it's literally just this cluster of stars. Once you get in the star cluster, there's nothing around.
Good lord. Well, I mean...
And so you're literally in like your own little mini galaxy. And the devs have talked about putting a station up there, but they can't justify how that station would get there. They're like, they want it to be like a cool little, like, you know, like when you're younger, boys only kind of... place at the end of the cul-de-sac where it's like this little hidden grove.
Yeah, well, how would you...
only kind of area.
You need to have people...
They just can't justify doing it.
No, you need to have a way for cargo runs to make it out there, and then theoretically, I mean, the only way you get people to do that is to be able to come back.
Yeah, it would break the meta ridiculously.
Yeah. And of course they couldn't justify it, because the second you load your ship with cargo, its jump range is decreased. So that's that.
Yep.
You can't get out there. I don't know. It's really come a long way since 2015, according just as Obsidian Ant had said. But I'm very much looking forward to this year and seeing what exactly we're going to get out of, you know, Atlas. The other thing they said that is not coming is space legs. Apparently that's almost permanently put on hold. They just cannot find a way to do it, and I'm thinking some of it has to do with console development being, you know...
Well, it's not that they can't, it's that they won't, because there's other things that the game needs before space legs. I feel like once they get the game at a state where they truly go, we can't add anything more, there's nothing more we can add, that's when they'll do space legs.
I suppose, although space legs, like, there's enough, I mean, the way to order it, I mean, normally would be whatever's in demand, right? And Star Citizen, despite its obvious shortcomings, does offer space legs. It's sort of core to the game's philosophy. It doesn't do it correctly, but.
And that's what they want, is they want to make it, first and foremost, a spaceship, not a Call of Duty clone.
No, it wouldn't be Call of Duty. I mean, it would just allow you to walk around inside of a space station, you know, and visit.
But
I mean, already,
you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, but already you can take your camera, and you know, I've often wondered, like, I've taken the camera and gone and had a look at, you know, what is over here, and I inside of a starport, and found myself being, so intrigued by the park, you know, that's like sitting right next to the starport or whatever. Like it's nothing major. It's nothing major, but it would be nice to be going on a shopping trip inside the starport.
They'd have to set up like instancing for that shit too.
Yeah. That's true. Well, you would take it right off the main game server. You wouldn't have people and share memory with spaceships. Because
this guy, just looking at the passenger lounge, this guy wants me to take him 29,000 light years away for 31 million credits. If he had bumped that up to like 45, 49, I'd consider it, because I'm in an Anaconda. You know, I could do that before I went to bed. Like, I could get there before I went to bed, right?
Yeah.
And my Anaconda is pretty quick. But the other thing is, he does not react well to danger. And, well, buddy, if you hop on my ship, I firewall that throttle all the way there and back through neutron stars. There is no kind of just dawdling around.
Do they react to that? Like neutron stars? Are they considered dangerous? Because, I mean, I've been involved in battle with passengers that are upset by danger, right? And unless
they don't like it when your ship overheats and then starts to take hull damage, which is pretty much by the time I get to Colonia, because I can get to Colonia in 3 hours, right? By the time I get to Colonia, my ship has like 15% hull because I've just burned it the entire way. Basically, right? I fly the ship like a goddamn ship. I fly it like it's meant to be flown. Falcon DeLacy didn't give us Anacondas to be like, oh, it needs a new spot of paint. Yeah. Oh. I firewall my Anaconda's throttle and I slam it as hard as I can into that neutron jet cone. And then once it starts creaking for a break, I slam it even harder and I yell at my shit afterburners as loud as I can, and it just keeps going. And my Anaconda, it takes it, you know.
I know.
My Anaconda has been through.
Normally for me, they have to, like, I get into battle is the big risk, and they don't get really pissed off until the shields disappear. Then once the shields are gone, then they're like, let me off at the next starbase. You're a pirate or some damn thing. You know, they get all pissed off.
My Anaconda has over 150,000 light years on it.
100, yeah. That's like from the core systems to LMC. It's further than the breadth of the Milky Way galaxy, which is 100,000 light years. Which is already stupid amount of distance to begin with, but anyway.
Well, it's like basically, the 100,000, because it's really not 100,000, it's like 120,000 from absolute extreme last star to absolute extreme last star.
If you include the halo that goes around the Milky Way galaxy, there's a halo that goes around, which never gets quoted in astronomy journals or in textbooks. They usually, if you ask an astronomer how big's our galaxy, he'll tell you it's probably 100,000 light years, right? But I was reading another document in the last week, and it turns out that there's a halo of stars which are in a region that never ever builds new star systems. New stars do not get born in this area. It's just like a dead zone. It's where stars go to die, kind of thing. And it's outside.
So once they reach the outer edge of the spiral arm, they just slowly get flung out there.
Well, they may, in fact, there might be a star or two that gets born out there, but it's not enough, it's not sufficient to be self-sustaining. So they just end up not having any new stars out there, and as a result, it turns into a halo of dead stellar material, brown dwarfs, and dark matter. And that's it. But it forms a halo because there's light being emitted from the Milky Way galaxy itself, and it increases the size. If you include that from knowable amount of matter at one end through our galaxy to the other side, and the far extremes, the other side of the halo, is 600,000 light years. It actually encompasses the LMC and SMC. If that were included in the game, if you had a region of brown dwarfs and non-fuel fuel providing material that led a trail out to the LMC or the SMC, it would kind of be irrelevant. But you could have planets and whatnot out there, and
it's technically possible to refuel up there.
On a brown dwarf system? How?
You have a buddy who's got some fuel tanks and some limpets.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And you run a supply chain.
Yeah, that's true, yeah, that's correct.
Fuel Rats has enough personnel and enough manpower that every couple thousand light years you probably could have a fuel chain, and then with Elite Dangerous Star Map you could probably plot out the couple stars in between that are scoopable.
Couple, but the further out you go, the less likely you're going to encounter one. But even so,
Elite Dangerous community would figure that one out.
Yeah, but even so, the question remains, I mean, that might work now. How far, if you did that now, like let's say that we just as an experiment wanted to see how far.
So how far is the LMC?
It's 100. The nearest edge of the LMC is approximately, and unfortunately it's so far away that we only have approximate distance, but it's thought to be 150,000 light years away. And then the SMC is 200,000.
So
nearest edge, and it goes out, and there's only about 20 billion stars in the LMC. So you've got to imagine that. I mean, there's 400 billion.
Well, that's more than enough. The bubble is only a couple 100,000, so.
No, you can have civilizations and whatnot in it. It's big enough to sustain life, but it's just not. It's not thought to be big enough. Like when you look at a galaxy our size, our galaxy is the second largest in the local group. It's not the largest. Not the largest. It's not even a large galaxy by the standards of the local supercluster. But in the local group, it is the second largest behind Andromeda. The third largest is Triangulum. And you have to go through.
Triangulum follows right next to Andromeda, right?
Well, it's about, I think it's 40 million light years away or something. Like, it's some distance well beyond Andromeda, which is only 2 million. But Andromeda is headed for us. Triangulum is not. It's going in a different direction.
When Andromeda collides with us, I've been told that literally only the core will really notice it.
If anyone does, I'm not even clear on that. When galaxies collide, nothing really happens except gravity from one set of stars affects the gravity wells of another set, and they change direction. They don't. You don't really end up having, you know, a kind of cataclysmic type of scenario unfold.
Some systems are now binary systems.
If that, you know, the biggest thing that our simulators show happening is just, you know, the structure of the galaxy gets ripped apart. Arms that were arms before are no longer, you know, in the same place. They get all munged up and torn apart. And this is a process. Don't forget that takes millions, if not billions, of years to unfold before it settles back down. And most likely, the resulting galaxy, the Milky Andromeda galaxy, which will merge together, will actually be an irregular class galaxy. It won't be spiral anymore, because there just won't be a structure there initially. It will be billions of years before anything resembling a spiral could or would form. There's no. Yay. You're not going to see stars colliding with one another and, you know, big impact. At least not very many. There might be a few. Let's face it. I mean, the stars are traveling. Our star system is traveling at over 300 kilometers per second. So it's hurtling through space pretty fast relative to, you know, whatever.
That means if you were to jump into Sol and then jump out, you've actually traveled quite a fair bit of distance laterally.
Into Sol and out. How do you mean?
Yeah. So you jump into Sol.
Yes.
You hang out for a bit, and then you leave Sol, and then you come back. You're not in the same place.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you can actually. I used to do this as a kid, right? When I was a member of the local astronomy club. Yes, I was a big geek, and you could figure out what direction, what motion that everything around you was moving in, based on Earth's rotation, on Earth's orbit around the sun, on our galaxies, on our star system's movement through the galaxy, and our galaxy's movement through the local group. And you could actually at any point given the day, you could figure out, okay, which way are we moving?
Oh my God!
You could actually, and it isn't even that hard. Like you can figure this out fairly easily, just by knowing, you know, knowing a few details about which way because we know where the ecliptic is. The ecliptic is the plane of our solar system. We know which way our star goes around the sun and roughly which direction. So that's not hard to figure out. We know how our position is my position in Canada is, and therefore, because of what latitude I'm at, I know which direction I'm rotating on the surface of the Earth. And of course, I know which way our star is going around the solar system based on, you know, the current season, etc. And the ecliptic. So the only thing the big mystery, the hardest part of the puzzle is trying to remember and figure out which way your star system is going through the galaxy, and which way your galaxy is going through the local group. Figuring that out actually takes a little bit more brain power and thought to figure out and to contemplate about. At any rate, go ahead.
I'm just waiting for my ship to arrive. I'm literally just sitting at this dock, just waiting for my ship to get here.
I hate doing that. No, I actually, the last time I summoned my Python, I have a dolphin, eh? I'm actually have enough money now to upgrade to a beluga, but I have a dolphin, and I was using it to make money after I lost. Get this, I had lost 3 dolphins in the span of a week, 2 of them on the same night.
Yeah.
I was in pain, like physically in pain. over these losses.
I just turned on in the galaxy map because I'm looking in the galaxy map. The amount of stations kind of shockingly close to the bubble that are damaged or under repair is ridiculous. Almost everything in the Pleiades is gone.
Everything in the Pleiades is gone, yeah. Pretty much.
Wow.
There's only I think there's only 2 starports left. And they're going to be here in the core systems. They will arrive next week after the next update. They'll be at the outer rim.
And I think if we don't repair them as a community, they get mothballed.
I just don't understand this. Like, how the hell do these things like not get repaired when building them in the first place took less time?
We're almost a class 2 civilization. You'd think we'd be able to, repair a station with a massive economy. I mean, our economy is exponential at this point.
Oh yeah, it's quintillions of credits. The human population itself is hundreds of trillions of people.
So real quick, how long would it take the galaxy? Right, so you know how Beagle Point's the direct opposite. How long would it take for Sol to do a 180 around the galaxy and end up where Beagle Point kind of is now?
It takes 130 million years.
To do a rotation.
To do half a rotation. That puts Sol at Beagle Point. A full rotation is 260 years. So
260 million years to do a rotation.
Yeah, around the core of the galaxy.
So does that mean Colonia is slowly getting pulled towards the center?
All stars are getting slowly pulled towards the center, every last one.
So by the time we do that rotation, we'll probably actually be a couple thousand light years closer to the center.
That's if our star survives. I mean, our star will never actually be anywhere near the center because it will be dead or have exploded within 5 billion years. And to move from where we are in the galaxy, the long way around that we're going, which is orbiting the center, will take tens of billions of years. So
the goal, well, yeah. Right, the goal for humans is to, even if our star does explode, it literally doesn't matter.
No, of course, the civilization will likely move or be dispersed into smaller groups or into larger groups, as the case may be.
The whole problem, my problem with the bubble, right, is our star did explode inside of the bubble.
Yeah.
Literally everything surrounding the bubble would die.
Nope, that's not how it works. What would happen is the star would explode. Everything aligned with our star's equator would be endangered out to 3,000 light years because it's a class 5 G-type star. That's if it somehow accrued the mass, which means it would have to collide with another star. It doesn't actually have the mass to become a supernova. The worst thing that could happen, the most likely scenario, is that it will, if it blows up at all, it will turn into something like a white dwarf. And even more likely than that, it will turn, would create a what they call a cosmic ray burst. That will go out to about 3,000 light years. If it were a type O or supergiant like Betelgeuse, which is 600 light years away approximately, within the next...
And Betelgeuse is just waiting to blow, right?
It's on the brink. So if it goes, it will turn into a supernova, most likely. I did this calculation myself because I was a little concerned about the outcome. And turns out that it's not oriented the right way. It would have to, its north or south poles would have to be within 20 degrees of pointing at Earth. And
so it's just going to make a pretty nebula and just go away.
For about 3 months, it will provide us with a second star in the sky. Yeah. It'll be quite a sight, and actually it'll be something that you will want to see. If it happens, you want it to happen because it will be quite the spectacle.
And that means with modern technology, we'll be able to observe it the entire process.
Yeah, we'll actually know about it very, very shortly before it happens, and then it will blow up, and then we'll have this spectacle. In fact, this has precedent. Earth has been witness to one other supernova close enough to do something similar. The Chinese recorded it. It happened in about 1300 BC, I believe.
So we haven't had one with modern technology, though.
We haven't had one since then. And actually, the one the Chinese saw turned into the Orion Nebula, I believe. It's either that or the Crab Nebula, one of the two.
Or I believe it's the crab, the jellyfish, or the Orion Nebula. It's one of those three.
Yeah, it's one. I'm sticking with the Orion and the Crab. It's one of the two. I'm pretty sure it's one of the two of them. But regardless.
The jellyfish nebula is only like 2,000 years old.
Yeah, it could be that one. I think it's in the wrong position or some damn thing, but it could be. There's no, it's just not something you can be absolutely certain about. It's not like the Chinese gave us coordinates and exact sufficient accuracy on the observations to tell us.
What's the time frame on Betelgeuse?
It's anywhere from now to 2 million years. Hence, like I said,
so it can happen tomorrow.
It could happen tomorrow, yeah. Or it could happen 2 million years from now. There's no easy way to isolate a date. But we do know this about it. It's a rather worrisome pattern of expanding and contracting is getting faster. And when it's expanding and contracting like a balloon that is blowing up and then deflating and blowing up and deflating, it's right at the very freaking end of its life, and it's gonna go. So
it's gonna create like a planetary nebula, right?
Yeah, it's very likely. Yeah, there's definitely sufficient mass there. I'm pretty sure it would create some kind of nebula. And over the forthcoming billions of years, there'll be a stellar nursery would be established, and it would give rise to new.
It's close enough to Bernard's loop and shit that it'd fit right on in.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Depending on which one it is.
Fit right on in with the family.
The Orion Nebula is near the Horsehead. And Barnard's Loop is right next to it.
It's in between it. That's a little
ridiculous. You know what? There's a base out there, and
yeah, I have it bookmarked. I have all the bases out there bookmarked.
Betelgeuse itself, it's a little distance away from them, but you're right. It might. I'm wondering if it would actually disperse them if it blew up.
It's close to the High Nebula. I mean, it's in star terms, it's within walking distance to T-Tauri and Taurus Dark region.
So
California Nebula is like maybe a bike ride away.
Yeah, well, that one's probably safe. And either way, like because of the orientation of because of its axis being pointed the way it is, I think those nebula might be safe. I'd have to review the information again, but I know that Earth isn't in any real danger. But there are some planets that again, if you're living in star systems that are within range of this thing, your civilization is going to be fried. And like the Witch Head Nebula stations and all the stations out by Bernard's Loop and stuff probably want to evacuate. Well, they would probably have more warning because, again, this is 1,000 years hence, so the technology would be further along and, you'd probably have a bit more warning on that.
So what kind kind of data could we extrapolate from that event?
Oh, all kinds of data. I mean, you get information on cosmic rays, their composition, their dispersion, with far greater accuracy than what we currently have available with supernova. Don't forget, the last major supernova to occur was a supernova. Actually, this is interesting. I'm from a province in Canada called Manitoba. You probably have heard of it.
Yeah.
The city of Winnipeg specifically. My first job was working at the Manitoba Planetarium in downtown Winnipeg. What a first job to have. And during that time, I worked with a group of people. One of the people I worked with, his name was Ian Shelton. Ian went down. He did a thesis for the University of Manitoba, and his preparatory work for that thesis, which he presented a little bit later than this event. He did some work observing stars in Chile. Atop, I can't remember what mountain or what observatory he was on top of, but he went to one of the high altitude observatories in Chile.
And Andes Mountains.
And he got credited with the discovery of supernova 1987A, making it the Shelton. His name is Ian Shelton. I call it the Shelton supernova as a result, because that is the last supernova that has been discovered so far that we've observed from here.
God damn it, the courier is so loud.
Which courier?
I parked my courier so we can keep...
Oh, okay. Thought you were referring to the bird in the background. My goodness.
Oh, yeah, no. I can silence the bird if you give me a second.
That's alright, I don't want to put you out. The poor bird. How would you silence a bird?
Alright, there we go. The bird has been silenced.
How do you silence the bird?
Turn off the kitchen light so it can go to bed.
My mom had a bird, but it wasn't the expensive kind that you have there. Oh my God.
Yeah, mine's the pampered luxury kind.
It does remind me a bit of my cat, though, in terms of wanting food. My cat comes and bugs me every 15 minutes if you don't feed her in time. It's like, dinner time, where's my food? And she just bugs the hell out of you until you finally feed her.
In the timeline here, in Elite Dangerous, should Beetlejuice even exist?
Do which?
In Elite Dangerous, should Beetlejuice even exist?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's only 1,000 years in the future. There are some things that I think should exist that don't. For example, we've discovered planets, like they added the Transit 1 star system when it was discovered, but I think they should be adding more frequently new star systems that are discovered within 500 light years of Earth, with confirmed exoplanet discoveries.
Yeah.
If they're trying to be at all realistic. Not that, you know, it isn't a great game as is, but if you don't keep adding these things, you know, at some point we might, I don't know, discover life around a neighboring star, and the star's not going to be there when it comes time to update the game. You're gonna have to probably include adding the star system to the update. There was one discovery recently that caught my eye. The discovery of Ross 128b, which is a component in the Ross 128 star system near Earth. B is, of course, the first planet by convention. And turns out that Ross 128 is in the game already. It's where the planet Merlin is. It turns out it's where the planet Merlin, and it's in a gas giant called Aster. Merlin's a moon around this planet called Aster. And it's famous in Elite lore because Ross 128 is where Elite 2 Frontier, the game, begins. It's the equivalent of the LT2772 or whatever it is. Star system.
What's the other one? There's two in this game. It's the LTT, and then there's the Alliance system, which is like...
Really? I didn't know that.
LQ Hydra, I believe, or something like that.
Is that a new thing, or has that always been so?
It's always been like that. Oh, and Everett, or Eravit, LQ Hydra, and then LT whatever's. They're all within like 10 light years of each other.
Really? I have to look those other ones up. This is where this moon is where the older game starts. So it's not a system with a lot of planets in it. It's so far, they could probably get away with deleting a few of the other planets if, in fact, it turns out that either that one or if there's a gas giant with exomoons that they're now starting to discover are found in the system.
I mean, they can always fudge it a bit.
Yeah, they could fudge it a little bit and claim us as a different universe or something, but I just found that...
Well, that's a bit much. I would just say they'd just be like, oh, yeah, Old Earth didn't know that there was actually an extra planet there.
Yeah, but that's true. But I found that very interesting, that little tidbit interesting, that Merlin was discovered, so I published a blog article on my blog saying, Merlin's been discovered, yay! Which had me all excited.
I'm right around the big-ass gas giant right now.
What, Aster? Or just a generic gas giant?
Deusat 6.
Oh, I see.
And I've just waited 23 minutes for my ship to get here. Time to slap a grade 4 FSD on it and just leave my Anaconda behind. Because my Anaconda just sits and goes, why don't you use me? Well, you're expensive. Literally, for the price of me running my Anaconda.
That's one of the bonuses I found about running around in a Dolphin was that, the insurance cost of replacing it if I ever got shot down. And I was attacked a few times. If you've used this trick at all, by the way, in combat, you're losing the battle, okay? Disaster strikes, you're losing the battle. There's no way out. Except turn off pilot assist and point your ship, the front of your ship, at the hostile while you're flying away after doing a thruster burst, just before doing so. And guess what you notice? As you're flying away backwards, basically, you can even shoot your forward mounted weapons as you're, traveling in the opposite direction backwards away from the hostile. It turns around, like it gets all scared of you or something, and just, it will stop chasing you or it'll move out of weapons range. Invariably.
You're facing it at all times.
Right, well, you're facing it, and it doesn't like that, and the hostile will move out of weapons range as a result. And I thought this was so cool. Like, okay, so now I can win almost any battle I get into, regardless of the class of craft I'm using, just by pointing my ship at it. And I've won battles. I even destroyed what the hell? An Asp Explorer with my Dolphin. Flying in this flying in this pattern.
For the cost of just turning my Anaconda on, doing a cold start in my Anaconda. I don't know if you've flown in Anaconda.
No,
but,
no.
yeah, no. Anacondas are super expensive to run. Just to turn your Anaconda on, 100 grand.
Holy
I buy
shit.
a Viper for every time I turn my Anaconda on.
Jesus Christ. Why does it cost 100 grand to turn it on?
That thing sucks fuel, my dude. So you know how like most small ships take about a ton an hour? And that's like a fuel-hungry small ship, right?
Okay.
That's like a heavily modified, fuel-hungry ship. Anaconda takes like, I don't know, 4 tons an hour.
You're kidding.
On idle.
100,000 credits just to turn that son of a bitch on.
Yeah.
That's hard.
I mean, you don't really notice it because that's a, you end up refueling off the stars anyway, right? But
yeah, it's fine if you have fuel. Oh, you probably do because you have enough slots. God knows, but it's still a pain in the ass. Like, you know, just in principle, having 100,000 credits burn through just for turning your ship on. Like, Christ Almighty.
yeah. So anywhere you go in the Anaconda, you better be making a profit.
Yeah, well, it goes almost. I mean, in the Python.
I've had my Anaconda bankrupt to me multiple times.
I would think.
Just on maintenance costs. You slightly tap it, and you say 50% whole. A full repair on an Anaconda is about $1.5 million.
Jesus Murphy.
The rebuy cost on an Anaconda, you're looking at 11 million.
Yeah, well, you were one of the several people that warned me, like, before you even think about buying this thing, make sure you have like a spare 100 million credits lying around.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need it in order to just function.
Because it sucks your fuel, it sucks your life. It cheats on your wife. It cheats on you. It cheats on your wife.
Yeah.
It steals your children.
And then it eats them.
I've run my Anaconda with 20 million credits in my account for months, and it is so stressful.
Good God.
Most of the time, it's actually more economical to just sit around a star and just wait for your ship to refuel than actually to just buy fuel from a station. Like, time per cost, you don't really want to refill ever, pay for fuel for your Anaconda.
But you do have the slots to occupy this, right? I mean, the only thing that's going to cost you is time.
Yeah.
Because you have, I don't know how many slots it is, like 10 or 11
Anaconda's got... Yeah, the Anaconda's got more than enough slots. In fact, I have just free slots just floating around. They got nothing in them.
Yeah, so I mean, the worst case scenario is, I mean, hopefully you're using at least a Class 7 fuel scoop. And
Class 8.
I stand corrected. I mean, I'm using, whenever I explore with the Python, it takes God knows how long to do that. And during the guarding missions, I felt like, okay, well, if I need weapons, I'm going to have to use my Python, which has a jump.
Here goes a roll.
Which jump range is, of course, 18 light years max. Well, that's not true. 20 max.
So I'm doing my FSD roll on my courier.
Yeah.
What am I going to get?
Oh.
And optimized mass. Ooh, plus 34%.
Impressive.
Oh, and I got reduced thermal load, but my power draw went up.
Yeah, that always sucks.
My boot time reduced by 11%.
That's good.
I'm not even gonna touch that roll. That's like perfect.
That's pretty good, yeah. Well, I was like that for my frag cannon roll. I got all these bonuses, and I had the corrosive crap happen. And as soon as I got the experimental, because the corrosion is experimental, right? So as soon as I got that, I was like, okay, I didn't even know what that is. And then I got double shot. That's what it was. I had double shot and corrosion. My God, that thing just rips apart anything I encounter. It really does.
Most people would just look at the roll I did and be like, oh, that's trash, re-roll it. But I'm like,
no,
if I get more jump range, I get more jump range.
You can't re-roll when you get a decent bunch of mods. Re-rolling is not a good idea because you aren't guaranteed by any stretch to get that roll again. In fact, usually you don't. And
yeah, if I get something halfway decent, I just don't take it. You know, other way around. If I get something, the first halfway decent thing I get, I take it, and I run home.
Yeah.
Like right now, I just did my power plant. I overcharged it. I got 11% power out of it. My integrity only went down 2%, and my heat efficiency actually went up.
The other thing is, nothing stops you from taking something and then going back and re-rolling and then rejecting what the re-roll is.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what you do if you really are uncertain about the roll. You got a halfway decent roll and you took it. I used to, until I realized this, I was like, okay, well no, I'm so shit satisfied with my generic, class 2 whatever when I was doing my upgrade, and I got like a nice class piece of hardware, and then I was like, found myself turning down rolls at the beginning, which makes no sense whatsoever. You take the roll and then you re-roll it because you will only finish ahead that way. Doing it any other way, you're throwing away rolls that might be the best thing that you get based on the amount of resources you have, which are not unlimited.
My power plant was running over limits, and I had to turn things off. Now I have literally everything turned on, and I'm running at 98. I'm barely cutting the mustard. Well, I only put a grade 1 on it, so...
Yeah, there's
like I said.
Do you do this? Do you put the class D unit in place to save on distance, on jump range before buying?
Class D. Yeah, I always put class. The moment I buy the ship and I know that I don't have the module I desire, I put class D in.
Okay, because I have a couple slots where I'm using class B because I just want it to, want the better class so badly on the unit in question, like the power, because the class A for the power core of the Python is 51 million, but I was able to get the class B for 15 million or something way lower. So I took the class B, and I'm waiting on the class A. But the class B is as good as I can get right now. So I took that. I could have taken the class D, but I would have been dealing with substantially less power. And yes, I would have been able to go further, but then I would have been short power and had to shut off, modules in order to actually do anything while I was in game. And then I think I got it eventually, so that the only thing I had to really shut off consistently was the SRV bay.
The only thing I'm shutting off on my courier now is just the AMFU, and it's a battle courier, so you only really need to turn it on when you need it.
After battle's been concluded.
Yeah, I like to have an AMFU on my ship so I can, repair my shields and stay in the fight for an extra 20 minutes or so before jumping out.
Yeah, but you usually don't use it during battle. No one, I can't. No one's gonna flip around through the module list and I need to, I need to fix this during the fight.
No, I do it after I've killed the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very
It
hard.
just lets me stay out for a little longer.
It's very hard to do that during battle, I found.
Because
so.
you gotta turn off the thing you want to shoot. I
Yeah.
mean, that you're using.
Exactly.
Yeah, I use it just to stay out in the field a little longer after the battle.
Yeah. Well, if you're
It's
doing
like retreating and licking your wounds.
that's an example of something I feel I really need during exploration, because one of the things you find when you're out in the galaxy, in the middle of the galaxy, with something less than an anaconda that can get you there in 3 hours. One of the things you find is that there's no bases out there. You know.
There's a couple, but you have to divert inconveniently out of your way.
Well, yeah, exactly. Or you have to find a depot or some fucking thing. And all that effort is just too much. It takes too much time and is too distracting. So if you want to do anything to your craft, and I mean anything at all, once you've left the core systems, you need the AMFU in order to do it. Otherwise, you're just completely screwed. And you can't do anything because you're out in the middle of nowhere. It's like flying through space when they talk about, you know, what the astronauts, flying aboard the International Space Station, or what astronauts flying to Mars will be facing. You know.
Yeah, I always keep an AMFU on me.
Because, yeah.
The AMFU is a lifesaver when you're out there. Yeah. And always you do it like a twin turbo system. You got one bigger and one smaller.
Yeah.
So that way you can, if one AMFU breaks, you can repair it with the other one.
How do you keep 2 of them on board?
You have one in a small slot, typically like a size 3 slot,
and then you shut it off. And you shut it. And
you shut them both off. Yeah, you always keep them both off until you need them. And then you run one in like a class 5 slot. And you always make sure they're A.
I didn't know you could actually do that. I thought the game would like complain if you tried to put 2 of them onto the thing.
The thing is, the AMFUs don't weigh anything, so you can bring as big of one as you want.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, like what the constraint would be in terms of mass.
Yeah, no, they don't affect my... I just got a better jump range roll.
Well, that's good.
By ever so slightly.
Well, that's all you get.
Oh my gosh, this is what I'd call almost god tier for a grade 4. This is basically a grade 5 in a grade 4 roll. So mass is 5%. Taken off, like minus 5%. Integrity is up 5%. Power draw down 10%.
Oh, nice.
Optimized mass up 1%. Max fuel per jump is decreased. I'm basically even more efficient. I'm taking that. That is insane for a grade 4.
Have you noticed also that during the game, like you mentioned before, you were finding like a 13 million credit mission for like being a courier or something. A couple times I found missions like that. I do missions to earn most of my money right now. And what I'm finding is that the game about 2 weeks ago suddenly started issuing missions that would offer millions and millions of credits for things that it was never paying out for to that level.
Like scan missions in areas that aren't supposed to have scan missions worth that much.
You know, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, is there a bug? But I'm thinking this has got to be deliberate because it's happening. It's happened more than once, and it's happening. It happens in certain systems and not others, but it's generally speaking happening everywhere in the galaxy, in the core systems that I'm visiting.
My home system currently is offering massacre missions for upwards of 50 million.
The only constraint on them is that some of them are elite, and there are certain types of missions I don't like being elite, such as kill the pirate, which you have to wait both in terms of time as well as, you know, finding them. to do, and yeah, they pay well for them, but then there's that. But there's other kinds of missions too, where you know they're elite, and you're gonna probably face, you know, either the system is gonna want to kill you and send ships after you, like scan the data panel, you know, when it's marked elite. It's great, you know, occasionally it's not, occasionally they don't send every ship in the system after you, but like by and large, lately especially, they've started sending fleets of ships after me, and I'm being interdicted almost, you know, I've actually had it where people interdicted me once. I was interdicted, and then I either beat them or evaded the interdiction, and then not even a second later was being interdicted again by another threat. Another threat.
I'm doing dirty drives right now. Got to get dirty drives.
Yeah, well, I always use dirty drives.
The problem is that thermal though. They run hot.
I don't even care about that anymore. Like, I don't know why, but I just haven't really given a shit about the thermal. Like, I'll eat it, and I'll just use the heat sink and eject these white hot marbles out the back of my ship. But as long as I'm in the core systems, I never really notice.
My Anaconda runs clean drives.
That's interesting. Why is that?
So, because otherwise it's slow as balls, but I get a little bit of speed boost, and it reduces my thermal, because my Anaconda runs at, basically on normal running stuff with most of my, in full exploration mode, my actual canopy starts to freeze.
Really?
Like, yeah, my Anaconda, without me flooring it into stars and stuff, my thermal tolerance is like 16, yeah, 16%.
Jesus Christ. Well, I don't know. I've the Python runs at about 54% normally. And if
so you're running quite hot.
I'm running pretty hot, but if I get into a battle, I mean, I haven't actually. I'm running class. Don't forget, I'm still stuck with class 2 and class 3 weapons, so I can only get so hot. Yes. If the frag cannon, I'm also using a beam weapon to rip down enemy shields. The only time when I really face a threat that will pose any inconvenience thermally is if I'm jumping into a new system. I've just come out of hyperspace. The star is right behind me, and as a result, my heat signature is higher than norm. Then I get interdicted. And sure enough, you know, I'm probably gonna, and then if I start using my beam weapon to rip down their shields, which I always do, of course, then within about 120 seconds, the ship is starting to overheat. If, however, the battle takes place in system, you know, more than 3 minutes outside of the jump point, then it's too late, and I don't even have to worry about it, although I am running at probably better than 70% to 80% heat. And if it goes if it goes over 100, then, well, if it goes much above 80, to be honest with you, then I eject the heat sink and off goes the heat. But that doesn't happen very often.
My Anaconda can run up to 200% heat without really an issue, so you can imagine how I get to the core in 3 hours.
So you actually do let it do some damage to you as you're flying along?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The thing is, I've designed it to be pretty, heat resistant. Its tolerance, the Anaconda's tolerance is ridiculous.
So you've got good integrity on all of your components.
Yeah, and I've decreased, so the Anaconda normally has an class 8 power supply, but
yeah.
I've downgraded mine to class 4, and then, still from there degraded it as much as I can.
Yeah.
So it barely puts out just enough power to get me through, but
Yeah.
its integrity is through the roof. It's, you know, it's super strong.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
this
makes
is
me
not
lightweight.
this is not the normal type of anaconda you encounter incidentally during NPC gameplay. If you encounter one of those during NPCs, it's like, although this ship has a horrible reputation for ripping apart anyone who encounters one in normal gameplay. In my Python, which is a lower class ship, and I'm certainly not rated expert yet, I'm able to defeat anacondas at the expert to dangerous level without much difficulty, without breaking too much of a sweat. The only type of anaconda I really worry about is the elite.
My courier can take out federal gunships and federal dropships solo all day long. You're
kidding. Those ones are the ones that I worry about even more than the anaconda. If I get like a federal dropship.
This is a small ship. This is a courier.
Yeah, I know. But if they point at you and they get a bead on you and you're not traveling fast enough to run circles around them, which you can't really do in a Python, then I found then you're gonna get chopped to ribbons. I've had that almost happen several times. In fact, I won't even engage them. I'll just evade them if they try to interdict.
My courier is stupid.
No, it must be fast. I would guess.
Oh yeah, I hit 600 easy.
Jesus, Murphy, 600. Christ,
I hit 600, and I've got everything on the ship, right? All the hard points are medium hard points. The courier does not have anything besides medium hard points. So I've got two 2D beam gimbaled lasers, and then a 2F multi-cannon strapped to the middle. So on each wing, because you know it's got those little wings,
yeah.
The two beam lasers basically gimbal in, and they don't lose tracking because there's no ship above it or below it to get in the way, so they literally can track almost a full 360 around. And then on the bottom, I've got that gimbaled multi-cannon, which sits directly beneath where I sit. Like, I sit on top of the gun, basically, which gives me an extreme accuracy of placement, which makes this ship the best, in my opinion, small combat ship next to the Vulture.
Wow.
Because you're sitting above, and literally you're sitting above on top of the gun, and the two lasers next to you are literally, you can see them.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well,
and your range of motion is ridiculous.
Do you find that the gimbaled weapons, they are definitely more powerful than the turrets? But I found that using turrets just allowed me to be a better pilot, in that I could concentrate on flying the damn ship and doing what needed to be done in terms of manipulating the controls so that I didn't get myself blasted to nothing, worrying about what I was pointing at, or just being generally distracted by the weapons.
Yeah.
And
my thing is I'm a good enough pilot that doesn't matter, because I've been playing this game for almost 400 hours, so I'm a pretty good pilot.
Yeah.
For me, it's the weapon targeting. I need the gimbaled because I'm a pleb.
Well, have you ever tried using another player, like crewing up in multiplayer? The turrets, suddenly, on my ship, I found out recently, I could, if I had on my favorite wingman that I usually talk to online, for some reason he didn't log in today, but the guy that I usually fly with, he brought up an interesting point I wasn't aware of. The turreted weapons suddenly go from being a 60-degree arc, forward facing, forward mounted, of course, and suddenly become 360. He was able to point in any direction he wanted, once he had configured his interface properly. And I was just like, you're kidding.
I'm putting grade 1 engineering on my shield boosters and doing heavy duty shield boosters just to boost my my shields.
Yeah.
Literally just bump the numbers up. Because when the new engineering comes out in a couple weeks,
yeah.
Then I'll go back and modify each individual shield booster to be something, right?
Okay.
But for right now, I'm just hoping that my secondary effects give me some kind of resistance. Like on this roll, I got explosive resistance off a heavy duty shield booster.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always a nice bonus to have. Although I haven't really found myself, maybe it's my armor, the level of armor that I recently upgraded to on the Python. I'm not really affected by explosions. I worry about the beam weapons now. It's almost exclusively. But anyway, it's getting kind of late here. I'm going to take off, but it was great talking to you again. Thank you very much for the information and the hints and all the rest of it, as usual. Hopefully everything goes well for you in the week ahead, playing Elite and doing whatever else it is that you're doing on the gaming front. And in life generally, I suppose. But on that note, I'll let you go. Are you still there? Hello? 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 Alright everyone, it seems like he's either disconnected or I have. In either case, that's going to be it for me tonight. This is Commander Trium. I have to log off quickly, but thank you for watching once again, and thanks to those of you who have subscribed to my YouTube page to watch these videos on a consistent, ongoing basis online at the YouTube site, youtube.com/apprefactory. You can also visit ross613.wordpress.com/elite for ongoing updates using my blog site, as well as links to these videos on a permanent basis, since the location may in fact change in the future. This is the 19th February 3304 at 4:31:48 Zulu, and I'm Commander Trium. Good night, everyone.